welcome to Foster Bites. These are little bites of information all about foster care just from my point of view. I've only been foster caring for 3 months, but I have been working with children for 10 years with severe anxieties, behavioural issues, mental health issues, sensory issues, things like that. So I know I'm not an expert. This is just what I've found works for us and works for some other children that I've worked with. So as well as a fight to control, what is also very highly requested for me to talk about is food anxiety, and particularly with foster children, the anxieties around food, why that might be, and then what are some things that we've done to try and support our children with that. So I'm not going to share too much personal information about our current foster child. It's not my place to talk about his life, his story. It's not mine to share. But what I will be doing is showing some of the things that we're doing to support him, and then discussing foster care as a whole, around issues and why that might be and things like that. I just think I just am very aware that I need to be very respectful when I'm making these videos, and I just don't feel comfortable sharing personal information, especially his. I hope you respect that too. So when he arrived, I had no idea about his relationship with food. I didn't really know much about what has happened in his life. I just had very, very brief understanding of him. So when he arrived, the first meal that I prepared for him was make your own pizza. I did this very much on purpose, so that if there was anything he was allergic to or anything that he didn't like, it would be a good opportunity for him to say without feeling like he was being rude, or like if he'd be nervous about our reaction to that. I didn't want to make him a whole meal, him not want to eat it or not like it, and then not feel like he can say or doesn't eat or eats it all just because he's worried about our reaction, things like that. So basically I just provided the pizza bases and then had all the food laid out. I had meat options, vegetarian options, I had vegetables, all sorts. He could have just had plain pizza if he wanted, but as it goes, he was fine. He chose everything, chose bits and bobs and things like that. And it was a really good discussion opener. Our social worker was there at the time as well. She was making hers, I was making mine. No pressure on him whatsoever to be choosing certain foods. It wasn't even mentioned. Just a fun activity. We were all busy doing our own thing. And it was a really good icebreaker to then talk about food. What would be the best thing that Jordan could make you? What would be the worst thing that Jordan could make you? What would be the worst thing that Jordan could ever put on your plate? Things like that. And it started coming out. It was really, really good, really fun, no pressure whatsoever. He could have just said, I don't know, for everything, and it would have been fine. We'd have been no worse off if he'd have done that. Absolutely fine. We ate. I didn't control how much he ate. I didn't want that to be our main focus. I didn't want to be putting rules around food straight away. I just wanted him to trust us that we were going to provide food for him, we were going to provide enough food for him, and he wasn't going to go hungry in our house. That was my first thing. It wasn't healthy, it wasn't good proportions for his age, it wasn't whatever he wanted when he wanted, but it was enough to make him feel full. It was what he enjoyed, and he had control over what he ate, and that is what I wanted to give him. Again, going with the last video, he had a need to control. He didn't have any control on that, especially on that first day. I wanted him to control what he was putting in his mouth, because that was one of the only things that he could control that day. And it worked really, really well. It was really successful, and I will do that again. After that, we did find that there were some issues with stealing foods. I don't want to say stealing because it's ours, it's not ours, and we weren't keeping it from him, but he was taking food without us knowing or without asking first. And not just little bits as well that I wouldn't have minded. There was a cake for 12 people. We just found the crumbs on the floor afterwards and the cardboard in the bin. there was cheese and fruit snacks and basically chocolate chips we found under the pillow. Like, there was lots of things that he was hoarding. He didn't trust us that we would feed him enough or what he wants, or just enough. So he was finding food and hiding it. It's a survival tactic. It may explain where he's come from, but it also may not. If you came to a stranger's house, even like me, having had wonderful upbringing, always knew when the next meal was coming, it was always healthy. If I went into a new environment, I wouldn't know when their food routine was. I wouldn't know what they eat or how often they eat, and I think I would feel like that too. If I saw something that I liked, that I knew that would make me full and that I would enjoy, I probably would take it. So just in case I didn't have enough after they'd fed me, if they'd fed me. So I totally get it. I don't think it's sharing too much of his story or too much of his information that we don't know about. I wouldn't like to guess why he did this, but it kind of makes sense anyway, to be honest, for most foster children to do this in the first few days. This went on for a couple of weeks. We were finding that meal times were fine. He trusted that we were going to give him breakfast. We gave him breakfast every morning. He could choose what cereal. We had an array of cereal. That was fine. Dinner times, we used a menu board. He had lots of say over what things went on what day, again giving him some chance to control. Obviously we guided the choices, and if he said he wanted Yorkshire puddings, we'd say brilliant, what could be the meat with that? Sausages, fantastic. What could be the vegetables? Broccoli, fab. You know, we were kind of guiding, but it was his choice. We were supporting him to make these really good food choices. That again worked really, really well. The only thing I will say is that we have stuck to it for 3 months now, like glue. So even if we wanted to be spontaneous and just go out somewhere or whatever, we've kept to it. We have been so strict because he needs to trust that it's true. He needs to trust that when we say that we're going to have something and that he's put into that and we've said, yep, on Thursday we're going to have this, that it does actually happen. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. It's a promise, and we need to make sure we're keeping to those promises to make sure that we build that strong trust bonds, so that one day, and we are getting there now after 3 months, we can say, do you know what? Let's scrap that. Let's go out for a meal at a restaurant, or let's scrap that. Let's make something together. And now I think we could do that. We couldn't do it for every day because I think that anxiety would still start to bubble up. But for the odd day, we can. The other week, we just put a question mark on Saturday. We were like, we're going to do something fun for dinner that day, but we don't know what yet because we don't know what the weather's doing, we don't know what we're going to be doing, but that one's going to be fun. And he accepted the question mark, whereas we tried to do that weeks before, and it was all he was talking about. He was too anxious that there was a gap, whereas now it's good because he trusts that we will feed him. Another thing that we've been doing around dinner time to help is that we have made dinner at 6 o'clock. I've tried to keep it to 6 o'clock or as close to 6 o'clock as I can. Sometimes it's 5 to, sometimes it's 5 past, but it is 6 o'clock because then he knows that he's not going to go hungry. He will get fed, he will have his dinner, and he now trusts that 6 o'clock is dinner time and that he'll have his normal routine after that. It just helps ease his anxiety. He doesn't need to worry about taking food and getting hungry because he knows that dinner is at 6 o'clock, and that works really, really well too. Lunches are a bit funny because, I don't know, you just do different things during the day. So what we're finding is that we say lunch is at 12 o'clock, again for the same reason as dinner time, so he knows that he's not going to get hungry, that even if we're out, lunch is at 12. He packs his own packed lunch. We make sure that there's not too much yellow foods. Obviously we didn't do this straight away. He could have what he wanted at lunchtime, but we've just slowly guided him through the week, through the months, to make some really good choices. So we try and make sure that there's fruit, that there's yogurt, that there's some carbohydrate, things like that. And now he has a really, really good lunch. He has it at 12 o'clock. He will wait until 12 o'clock as well. Sometimes I say, oh, it's 5 to, it's close enough. No, it's not lunchtime, he'll say. So he's really, really enjoying the boundaries around lunchtime, and he likes that it's solid. He likes that he he likes that rule, basically, that he has lunch at 12 no matter what. What we've been doing when we're out to make sure that lunch is at 12, or say if I'm not sure that we're just going to get back in time for 12, I always pack a picnic and he will help me pack it too. It's exactly the same, it's just we can take it wherever we want. So even if we're in the car stuck in traffic, lunch is at 12 still. And it's almost like a promise that you will eat this even if we're stuck in traffic, even if we run an errand that we hadn't thought of in the morning, lunch is at 12 still. And again, it's a promise, it's a way of him trusting that food is coming and he knows what it is because he packed it, and anxiety is eased. The main issue we found, so that's breakfast, lunch and dinner, the main issue we found was snacks. If he wasn't doing anything during the day, his head would be in the fridge, he'd be asking for food. When's lunchtime? Can I have this? Can I have that? Sometimes not asking, sometimes just taking. And it was almost constant unless he was distracted. And I found this really, really hard because I didn't want to say no too much, because I didn't want to put too much rules around food. So sometimes I'd say, yes, but can you make a good choice? So yes, but can it be a banana or an orange or something like that? But then it was just really hard because it was constant. He wanted to be full. So what we did was we have set times for breakfast, lunch and dinner. So we decided together, we sat down and decided what our morning snack time should be and what our afternoon snack time should be. He needed that. He was asking for a trusting, solid time that we could stick to have our snack. We decided 10 in the morning would be morning snack, and then 2 in the afternoon would be afternoon snack. Morning is fruit, afternoon is something a little bit more naughty. And this works really, really well. I will happily make his snack first thing in the morning and leave it out, and he will not touch it until 10 o'clock. I don't mind if he does either, but the point is, it's a promise. I don't mind when he has his snack. He minds that he has his snack, and that's the point. He knows that when it's 10 o'clock, he can ask me for a snack and my answer will always be yes. Same for 2 o'clock, same for every meal of the day. His anxiety has eased so much around that, just having those rigid times. The only issue, it's not an issue, the only thing that I've had to adapt how I eat too. So I often just picked up foods, ate throughout the day, especially working from home, you just pick little bits throughout the day. I can't do that anymore. If he sees that I'm eating at a non-eating time, then he'd be like, hang on a minute, this is a rule. How come I have to stick to the rules and you don't have to either? So what I'm doing, and it is healthier for me anyway, is I'm having breakfast with him, I'm having 10 o'clock snack, I'm having lunch, afternoon snack and dinner time at his set times too, and no more than that, and also no less than that, just trying to show him that we're all running on the same rules. This is it for everybody, it's always fair. That has been something that majorly that I've had to adjust to. I want to model to him that it's a rule for everybody and that's okay. So we haven't had any taking of food for months now. He's built trust with us, but also having those set times has really, really helped. One thing that we did find was with pocket money, this is getting a really long video, there's just so much to talk about. With pocket money, he wanted to spend everything on sweets and chocolate. He obviously felt that need wasn't being satisfied and that we weren't providing that for him. So that's when he took his money into his own hands and bought snack and chocolate. This is fine, it's his money. However, I just felt that as his foster parents, as his acting parents, we should be providing all of the food that he feels like he needs. He shouldn't have to worry about providing his own food for him, whether that's treats or not. I just feel like we should be providing that for him. He can then use his money on fun things like DVDs and toys and stuff like that. So what we have been doing is this timetable. So he has chores every day, and we tick them off as he does them, and he earns his dessert, or tuck shop we call it. This is a good way of encouraging him to help around the house and be more independent. which has helped really manage his behaviour really, really well, which is another thing that I'll talk about in a future video. But also, it's also a promise that he has control over his actions to earn his tuck, and that we will provide that for him. It's already in the cupboard. He knows where it is. He will be getting that in the afternoon. He will be getting that after dinner. He doesn't need to worry about it. This then means that at the weekend and at the end of the month when he gets his money, that he doesn't need to spend it on sweets and chocolate and cake and biscuits. He can spend it on fun things, things that last, because he already feels satisfied that we have fulfilled that need that he has. It also means that he doesn't eat all of his sugar in one go, but that he spreads it out across the week, which I feel is a little bit more healthy and a little bit more stable for his diet and for his health as well. One last thing that I don't think can be said enough is the symbols and timetables, especially for foster children. So even if your foster child isn't special needs, and even if your foster child can understand and talk and read, their anxiety will be so huge that they might need that extra visual support to put in place. It also acts as a third person, so it's not you as the foster parent saying you can't have this or you have to have this then. The timetable is saying it. It puts you out of the situation. It's the timetable. So what we do each morning is as well as the menu timetable and as well as our chores time, as well as our chores chart, we have a daily timetable. And we always make sure that lunch and dinner are on there. Sometimes there's snacks on there as well, but he kind of trusts when those times are. But there's always lunch and there's always dinner, so that he can see whereabouts in the day that 12 o'clock falls and where 6 o'clock falls. And he can have that control as well. So he controls whether he has a shower or bath and whether that's before dinner or after dinner, and he decides what we do after dinner or out of a few options. And he has some say over what we are doing each day as well. And it just helps him ease into the day, ease his anxieties around food and also just around the activities in the day, and it also gives him control. It all kind of links together, and we have found that incredibly useful as well. So please don't think it's just for non-verbal children or children that you can't explain to verbally because they won't understand. It is for all children around anxiety. It means that he doesn't have to keep asking me what's next. It means that he can take it upon himself independently, have a look at the timetable when he needs that reassurance, and it's the same every time, it doesn't change. And that's really important. Now 3 months down the line from using it every day, we are now, some days we don't even need it, some days we use it because he asks for it, and some days we can make changes throughout the day. We can be a bit more spontaneous and put those on there as well. So that's really good. We're making huge progress, but even if you never make that progress, it is still so worthwhile to ease anxiety. I feel like I have been talking, for 20 minutes. I feel like I've been talking for way too long now, and that is so much information. And again, I'm just going to put it out there, I'm just going to repeat myself. This is what worked for us and our foster child. If you have any other issues around food anxiety, I would love to hear them, and I would love to hear how you are supporting your child with those, whether it's foster children or biological children. I would love to hear. I'm always trying to get new information and new ideas. I hope you have enjoyed hearing our little bite of foster care. I hope you have a really good day.